Diageo sells some of the world's most iconic spirit brands, Johnny Walker, Don Julio, Guinness, just to name a few. Consumers around the world enjoy over 200 Diageo brands every day as part of life's celebrations.
Diageo is defined by craft and innovation. We intentionally honor the heritage and traditions of our brands. But we also never stop evolving, because what consumers want is constantly changing.
Our spirit of innovation keeps us serving up whatever consumers want most. We truly pour our hearts into every aspect of production, making sure we are responsible stewards from grain to glass.
The world of fast-moving consumer goods is complex. We generate tremendous amounts of data globally, right up to the point of sale in 180 countries around the world.
Our logistic operation is huge. We're constantly moving products, stocking distribution centers and warehouses until our brands ultimately end up on shelves.
We have to trust our data to prioritize craft, quality, responsibility at every step. The challenge is effectively managing and activating our data across our business.
Our goal is to transform data into a true impact driver at Diageo. To achieve this, we needed to enable world-class end-to-end insights across our functions, which include supply chain, finance and commercial.
And that's why we build a holistic data strategy to distill raw data into trusted insights that power smart decisions about responsible and sustainable growth.
Building our strategy on a universal semantic layer was the top-shelf choice. That means unifying our data, weaving in business context, to transform it into governed information about our global business performance.
Brand managers, market strategists, and finance leaders can easily assess how adjustments to our product strategies impact volume, mix, pricing, and cost, and ultimately improve margins.
Everyone at Diageo can speak the same data language because our semantic layer makes complex information universally understood and actionable.
It helps us address every market's unique needs while also tracking key drivers of commercial, consumer, and financial success in a common way.
It lets us launch powerful, cutting-edge tech like AI agents that give our teams fast answers based on trusted data.
And it fuels powerful data products that enable everything from sales to strategic planning around the world.
At the end of the day, Diageo's data strategy helps us give consumers more choices about the premium products they share when celebrating life's special moments.
In life, celebrating really matters, and the same goes at work. We are proud that we raised the bar with data analytics and AI impact at Diageo. And we are grateful that our strategy partnership helps make our data impact possible. Cheers to you!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage President and CEO Phong Le.
Good morning, Las Vegas. What a terrific day. I want to start by thanking all the folks who are here and those who are watching online. I want to thank our employees who put on this event every single year, who set up the hotel, who contract with the vendors, who run the merch store, who built and came up with a Bitcoin strategy game. So thank you all the employees. I want to thank our customers. Some of you have been with us for 30 years. And I think that's amazing, and it's such a testament to the duration of the company and the relationship. Some of you have been with us for a few months, and I thank you too. And those who are considering strategy software, thank you for being here. I want to thank the Bitcoiners who are here in True North. We could tell because you're wearing orange ties who you are. And I want to thank our partners who make this event possible and who sponsor a lot of the fun things that we're doing. Our titanium sponsors are AWS, Benchmark, Coinbase, Google Cloud, Jay Wood, Morgan Stanley, and TD. And for those who are going to go to XS tonight, I do want to thank Jay Wood, TD, for being sponsors of the party. And of course, the biggest sponsor of the party tonight, you saw a quick video on, is Diageo, one of my favorite companies, who makes one of my favorite drinks, Don Julio Tequila. And I didn't have any of that last night, thankfully. So I thought I'd share a quick video and a teaser for tonight. I think that's an espresso martini, if you're curious. So who else will be at the party? Maxi. So you haven't already, you'll fill out a survey, you can get our Maxi t-shirt. You can go to the merch store, you can buy a Maxi plushie. And some people are like, what the heck is Maxi? So I'll give you a quick origin story of Maxi. And the best way is, don't do it now. Go onto YouTube or whatever your favorite video site is, and search up honey badger versus lion. Watch the video. It's entertaining. I think it was 2011, where Maxi, the honey badger, really became famous. And what we love about Maxi and about the honey badger, it is one of the toughest, most resilient animals in the entire animal kingdom. It withstands threats, 3 lions that'll fight them off. It is fastidious, it's a hard worker, and it really symbolizes not just Bitcoin, but it symbolizes strategy of our company. And I think it symbolizes a lot of you here today, because the presentation is going to get a little dark later. I'm going to talk about death. Guess who's not afraid of death? Maxi. The only thing better than Maxi, and by the way, why is Maxi running? Well, he's running to the party, right? He's not running away from anything. He's running towards danger. And he also is running, like our friend Hal Finney, who was running Bitcoin. But the only thing better than Maxi, as Michael Saylor here once told me, is double Maxi. And so you've got Maxi the runner, but you got Maxi the business guy. I like to think of myself as Maxi the business guy. I put on my orange tie, I run the company, invest in Bitcoin, invest in software. And of course, you know there's only one thing better than double Maxi. It's triple Maxi. And of course, triple Maxi is AI Maxi, outer space Maxi, to the moon Maxi. And that's why we chose Maxi as our mascot. So I said things are going to get a little dark, so bear with me. I'm going to talk about 3 funerals. But of course, after a funeral, there's rebirth, there's resurgence, there's life, there's a wedding, there's children, and the cycle of life continues. I'm going to talk about the cycle of software, what's happening in the AI world today. Some of the trends we've talked about, you've read about, you understand. Some are new. And talk about why strategy, I believe, is at the center of the resurgence of the software world. Enterprise software is broken. I started my career almost 30 years ago developing and implementing enterprise software for large corporations. Oracle Fixed Assets, Siebel CRM, Keenan Arbor billing systems, Tibco middleware. If any of these words cause you to shake a little bit and make you a little uncomfortable, it's because enterprise software is broken. And I remember at that point in time, I was a consultant working for Deloitte, and I always had in the back of my mind, what are we doing here? Spending tens of millions of dollars on software, tens of millions of dollars on consultants, implementing systems that fail 30%, 70% of the time. What are we doing? And of course, I kept my mouth shut, just like, a good employee, and I kept going and moving along. And what gave me solace, I'll talk about in a little bit, But 30 years later, things have not improved that much. Generic offerings, costly to implement, very slow to implement. 10% of most organizations' budgets are in IT, and yet less than 30% of the people adopt the software. And there's a huge power imbalance. The companies who are utilizing the software are much less powerful than the Mag 7 companies who are creating the software. And really, in the end, what was the desire? The desire wasn't that. The desire was lower cost. The desire was significant business benefits and business value. The desire was something that was simple to use. I don't think any of you would have said 30 years ago or today that enterprise software is easy to use. The desire is a consumer-like app experience where you click on something and it installs automatically in a beautiful, intuitive UX. That is not what we have today. My solace is that every innovation is progress towards an unimagined ideal, that what I was working on was going to get better one day. Humans started by walking. The innovation then was to get on the back of a horse and ride it. The innovation beyond that was the automobile. And the innovation we're facing today, self-driving vehicles. But that's not the end state. That's not the unimagined ideal. What you really want in transportation is teleportation. That is the end state. Quantum physics might allow us at some point in time to exist in multiple states at once, right? A wormhole might be discovered to get us from one place to another. Same with computers. From a calculator to a word processor, I remember having my word processor and thinking that was my unimagined ideal. Enterprise systems beyond that, AI agents now, but what do you really want when it comes to software? You want something plugged into your head and just telling you what to do, when to do it. It's not the iPhone. It's an embedded agent in your head. And of course, in the Bitcoin world and in the money world, we had shells. Then we had currency. When we had metals, then we had currency. We have banking systems. We have Bitcoin. And then what comes next? So in the software world, there's got to be a better way. We need a better way. What do we want? We want zero install and maintenance. We want human and agent interfaces, individually tailored, contextually understanding your organization, your culture, your systems, fully understanding it, business omniscience, knowing every single thing about your business and learning and growing as you go along. That's where we need to get to. And so, this is where I talk about death a little bit. For a new era to begin, another must end. Right? Mammals existed during the dinosaurs, right? But they were scurrying in caves and in little holes and hiding away, just making sure they didn't get stomped on by something 1,000 times their size. But when an asteroid hit the Earth and the dinosaurs ended, that is what opened up the planet and the world to the evolution of mammals and humans. So that's why I'm going to talk about 3 funerals today. 3 funerals in the software world that will give rise to a wedding. Of course, these funerals, right, are based on somebody causing the death, the murder, the death of certain industries. And AI is that. AI is accelerating disruption, and disruption is going to challenge those norms. You know, 3 months ago, I was talking about the death of SaaS, and now everyone is talking about the death of SaaS. I'm not saying I led that discussion, but we saw it coming. What did we see? I'll give a story about strategy. From 2000 to 2015, we built all our own software. Our own CRM system, our own ERP system, our own HR systems. Why did we do it? 1, because we're a software company and have brilliant engineers. And 2, because really, what is a software company about? It's about building great products, and it's about serving your customers. And so if we're going to do that, we're going to have our own engineering management systems, code management systems, repositories. We're going to have our own CRM systems, and of course, hiring great people, so we're going to have our own HR systems. That was the premise. That was the premise that a lot of you had. Some of you are thinking about build versus buy right now. But of course, when I joined the company in 2015, the promise was you could implement SaaS systems. They could understand your business. They would automatically update, innovate, save you money. So for 10 years, from 2015 to 2025, we implemented Salesforce, ServiceNow, Workday, Rally, Slack, then Teams, Zoom, and before that, there was Skype. We put in all these different SaaS systems, and they lasted for about 10 years. And now what are we going to do in the next 5 years? Because of AI, we're going to go back to custom-built systems. The SaaS market's about $1.5 trillion after losing 25% of their value. You saw some of the companies on that previous list. They've lost anywhere between 25 and 75% of their value in the last year. They're expensive to implement. You have to have entire programs and consultants to train people. They don't integrate well. They don't communicate with each other. And so SaaS is really a 2000s answer to a 2026 problem. But the needs, the promise of enterprise software and SaaS still exist. The problems that you have in the business are real. How to automate, how to create information that's persistent, that's omniscient, that goes around to everybody. You have to think beyond siloed solutions. The demands continue to evolve as your company evolves. And what do you need? You need capabilities, not containers. Of course, we have a solution to the death of SaaS, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The next one is a little bit more personal. The death of business intelligence. And we've seen this happen over the course of the last 30 years. Business intelligence was really meant to deliver intelligence to your employees, but companies come and go, they get acquired, they get lost, they lose their vision, they lose their duration. And so what's happened? A $50 billion ARR business where customers spend $100 per employee don't reach 80% of users. Success in BI is 20% monthly active users. That's success. You paid for 100% of the seats. Data's canned, and it's generic. It's built for analysts. Static, quickly obsolete, multiple versions of the truth. And BI tools are everywhere now, and they average of 10 to 13 per enterprise. Or what you didn't really want was a better visualization for a better analyst. You want agents to look at the information and make decisions without you ever being there. The visualization is not the endpoint, right? Edward Tufte, a very famous visualization, sort of the grandfather of visualization, wrote a famous book, The Visual Display of Quantitative Information. And his presumption was, and he became famous for this, that the Space Shuttle Challenger would not have blown up, killed 7 people in 1986 if it wasn't for lack of a powerful visualization. And I disagree with that point. I disagree with that point because, yes, the tragedy should not have occurred, but it's not the visualization that would have solved the problem. What you really wanted was an agent looking at the data every single second saying, don't take off. That's what you really want. And so what is a visualization? It's just an innovation to a yet unrealized ideal. And so we're past that phase. A human looking at a better graph with underlying data is dead. An agent or a set of agents communicating with each other with direct real-time access to the understanding of the business, processing the underlying data real-time, and making autonomous decisions. That's the answer. The needs persist. Data matters now more than ever. We need intelligence in every single moment. Business intelligence was an innovation to an unrealized ideal, so it's okay that we did what we did for 30 years, but the delivery model is different. The mission is not. The last death, the last funeral, data warehousing. BI is personal to me, data warehousing is personal to me too. I have built and implemented iterations upon iterations of systems to move data from transactional systems to data warehouses to process through BI, and I've done that for 30 years. The industry is a $250 billion industry, not a data warehousing, but data prisons. Just because you get the data in there doesn't mean you've solved any problem. It costs you millions of dollars to implement, 18 plus months to deploy. You all know this. I talk to you about it all the time. By the time you put the data in the system, it's already obsolete. It's rigid, fixed, and what we have is a fluid and evolving world. And it gets worse. You implemented Teradata in 2000. You put in Netezza in 2005. You decided that you wanted to put SQL Server in 2010. 2015 comes around, and you're thinking about big data. You put Hadoop in. 2020, you implemented Snowflake. 2025, it's Databricks. Does that make any sense? Does it drive any value to your end user? No. But the need still persists. What do you need? You need a single source of truth. You need connections, not silos. You want quality. You want lineage. You want governance and security. If you have AI agents accessing your data 24/7, billions of times a day, you want to know what they're doing. It needs to be integrated, timestamped, and intelligent data across. So this is not really how people work. Right? The person who can stare at a spreadsheet is better than the person that can't. But really? The person who can build a beautiful visualization and a bubble chart is better than the person that stares at the spreadsheet. Really? Is that really how the world should operate? We don't think that way. We think in conversations. I'm not giving you numbers and tables and charts. I'm having a conversation with you. We work across context, not in app silos, not in departmental silos. I ask you all the time, what are the biggest challenges you have? You say it's a cultural one. This department doesn't talk to another department. That's why we can't implement our systems. We describe intent. What do we want in natural language? We don't configure workflows. We collaborate and innovate in person through language. So these apps were purely an innovation to an unimagined ideal. So how do we fix this? Let me help you think through what that ideal is. What replaces it all? I think you know the answer. The answer, of course, is AI. But AI is missing some pieces. AI still doesn't quite understand your business. This promise that you're going to put something on top of all of your systems, a fabric of sort, to understand your business context, is a long stated goal. AI doesn't really know how to personalize quite yet. Right? I talk to ChatGPT all the time. It knows who I am, so it's a little bit personalized. But it doesn't truly know everything about my organization, even if I give it access to all of my data. It's not precise. Right? It's not going to come up with the perfect spreadsheet that tells me what my churn is and why. It's definitely not quite governed and trustworthy yet. Most of you don't want an AI from a large hyperscaler running rampant through your organization, looking at all your data, making decisions for you. It doesn't have business logic. It doesn't understand relationships. It doesn't understand the meaning of your data yet. So, of course, great leaps require a union. And so this is the wedding part of the presentation. Technology revolutions are not driven by their individual innovations alone. right? Amazon did not become the largest company in the world by revenue without a sophisticated logistics network that initially was built on UPS and the US Postal Service. The iPhone did not become the most important successful consumer product in the world without the advent of 3G networks that it rode upon. PCs needed a GUI. So what does AI need? It needs semantics. It needs understanding. It needs access to your data. It needs to understand your business, right? Defining your business gives AI context. Ensuring consistency gives your business truth. Providing governance gives it trust. Encoding business logic gives it meaning. Enabling personalization helps it understand your needs. I love AI, but it doesn't quite understand you and your business yet. Of course, semantics helps with that. And so what is the answer? This is the self-serving part. We have the answer. It's called Mosaic. And over the course of the next 2 days, Saurabh will tell you more about Mosaic after me. And you'll go through presentations, you'll understand what Mosaic is. But Mosaic solves these 3 big issues. It solves the issue of enterprise SaaS. It solves the issue of BI where it is today. It solves the issue of data warehouses. So what does Mosaic do? Before you had dashboards, now through Mosaic you can have proactive streaming feeds. That's the human element. You don't want to open a dashboard. You want to get the information in your phone, on your laptop, in your email, in your ear, in your brain, from your data systems. You don't want queries. You don't want to ask for things. You want it just to be immediately delivered to you. You want it to be sort of like TikTok or social media. You don't want people. You want autonomous agents. You don't want actions. You want the agents with the workflows. Are you a little worried that my presentation broke? When I first saw this, I was like, oh, crap. This is how BI looks today. It's not much better than it was 30 years ago. Right? Static reports, dashboards, 50,000 reports, 10,000 of which are used, 10,000 employees, 2,000 of which actually look at your data, brittle pipelines, rigid data schemas, dashboards that look like that. When you implement and you put Mosaic in, it changes things. Mosaic is a semantic layer that we have built and been working on and perfecting for 30 years that sits on top of your underlying data sources, not data warehouses, your transactional systems. It's omniscient. It understands everything. It builds itself as a semantic layer. And then your agents can interact with it directly, secure, real time, at scale. And by the way, cheaper too. I'm going to sort of stop there on the Mosaic and BI piece because Saurabh will walk through exactly how this works. And some of you have already used it, so thank you. The next thing that Mosaic's going to do that I'm actually really excited about is going to replace data warehousing. And this is big. Rigid schemas to semantic definitions, fixed models to flexible fluid schemes, data fortresses to govern definitions, and ETL to multi-source AI agents. All right, and so how is this going to work? With the advent of cloud compute, cloud memory, cloud storage, you don't need to replicate all of your data from your source system into an interim system. If you point a Mosaic semantic model to the source systems, you can bypass your data warehouse. Not all the time, but most of the time. And this is a big deal, because it's not just the data warehouse you're going to bypass. You're also going to bypass the 5 years of work to build one. You're also going to bypass the millions and billions of dollars you spent on one. I'll give you an example here. This is one slide I'll have some numbers on for you. Our customers today who are using Mosaic to query their data and bypassing the data warehouse already save $400 million. They're still going direct to a data warehouse for compute and storage in some cases, and that's a missed $1 billion. That's just our customers. You expand that to the world, it's $100 billion in savings by using Mosaic instead of a data warehouse. There will be some times and places you still want to replicate and store your historical time series data, but it's not to the extent you need it now. And of course, the fallacy of all of this is these data warehouse companies, many of which are our partners, they're growing like crazy because they've convinced you the way AI is going to work is on top of structured data in a data warehouse. They build their own BI systems. AI will solve that. So let's skip past that. How do we replace SaaS? And in this, we don't truly replace SaaS. That is not our ambition as a company to replace every enterprise software company. We'll replace it internally. We'll build it ourselves. But the way we're going to build it ourselves is we're going to use Mosaic. Today, an average enterprise has 130 applications. You can go to one intelligent interface. Unending context switching. I do it. I sit on my computer, and I have 40 apps open. Each one has 10 windows open. We're going to move to a place where you have one window. You ask a question. It tells you what you need to know. Mosaic has to drive the underlying integration into your business and your semantics so you can end the context switching. You have static workflows, and it's going to move to intent-based workflows. But you need Mosaic underneath it. You have application silos, seamless orchestration, rigid and slow to evolve to adaptive and personal. So you're like, okay, I buy what you're selling here, Fong. But why use strategy? Because every single other software company is telling me the same thing. Why you? I'll start with, this is not the death of companies. This is the death of technologies. And this is an important point. Not every SaaS company that you saw up there whose valuations are dipping 25 to 75% are going to die. Not every traditional finance company is going to go away because of Bitcoin. The strong, the resilient, the ones with fortress balance sheets, the one who can take technology risk are the ones who will win. Bitcoin is to finance as AI is to software. What do I mean by that? The software companies that you see today, some will prevail, some will win, 90% will not exist in 10 years. New ones will rise out of the ashes. That is the cycle of software life. The same is going to happen in the financial industry. And we'll talk about this afternoon and tomorrow. The financial services companies, the banks that will win, are going to be the ones that embrace Bitcoin. They're not all going to go away. 10% will prevail, and others will disappear. I don't believe the notion that AI is going to destroy these industries wholeheartedly, but it'll enable some to win. These are big paradigm shifts. We, Strategy, know transformation. We transformed this company multiple times over every 5 to 10 years for the last 35 years. We are the honey badger, the maxi of companies. Michael Saylor is pretty much the honey badger, or the maxi of the world. We know how to withstand threats, financial threats, software threats. We adopt technology early. We invented the BI space. Aren't we the right one to take you to the next level? We invented Bitcoin on a balance sheet. Aren't we the right one to take you to the next level? We see the future differently. So if you're a shareholder, thank you for believing in us. If you're a customer, thank you. If you're neither of those, think about what we are as a company. If this is the most fundamental shift in your lifetimes, and likely in the last century, the advent of AI and what it will do to software in the enterprise, do you want to partner with the Mag 7 company? Or do you want to partner with the company that has a fortress $45 billion balance sheet that still acts like a startup? We are the best of both worlds. That's why you should partner with us. We aspire to be the biggest company in the world with the most important brand in the world. Strategy is one of the top 10 most important words in the English language. We aspire to be everybody's strategy, to your strategy, your financial strategy, your data strategy, your software strategy. We work with some of the best brands in the world. And let me highlight a couple of them because they also won some really important customer awards, implementing Mosaic. Lotte, for those who don't know, is, I think, number 5 largest company in South Korea. And they're probably best known for their retail stores and their online shopping. They were actually the first company ever to deploy Agent or Auto 2.0 last year. And they led in all of South Korea in the world of AI-powered analytics in retail. And by implementing Mosaic and Auto 2.0, we saw a 70% improvement in the processes throughout their whole organization in efficiencies and AI gains. And for that reason, we've awarded this year Lotte with the Strategy Innovation Award. From the company that's about as far away from our headquarters as possible to the company who is as close to our headquarters as possible is Freddie Mac. Those in the US who know Freddie Mac, they're one of the foundations of home ownership. Right? They allow mortgages to be provided at very affordable rates to people to buy houses. It's one of the most pure things you can think of. They allow people to invest in a long-term store of capital, store of value asset. No, not Bitcoin, houses. And because of that, we're giving them the Business Impact Award, but they really have operated at the intersection of data and impact. You think about a company, an organization who has a tremendous amount of information, some of it extremely private, extremely secure, and they use strategy throughout the organization to enable data analysis internally and also externally. They have a website you can go to where strategy is running that website and the analysis of the data. And so they leverage us at scale. And so for that reason, Freddie Mac this year has won our Business Impact Award. And the last company some of you got to enjoy last night is Porsche. And rather than tell you the story of Porsche, I'll let them tell it themselves.
The Porsche promise is simple: to deliver incredible experiences that ignite passion. Whether it's our racing heritage, our engineering, or our commitment to customer service, our belief in precision everywhere helps us honor that promise.
Everything we do is about creating the dream car experience for millions of our loyal customers around the world. Every drive, every detail, every moment creates the spark behind our brand.
It's woven into every experience, whether on the road, at the racetrack, or in the service bay at any of our over 200 Porsche centers across North America.
To orchestrate the dynamic luxury experience our customers expect, our Porsche Center community needed seamless access to trusted data insights.
Our after-sales data spans dozens of systems, customer care, maintenance plans, make and model information, parts, warranty, and many more.
Static information, insights you had to dig for, simply don't work in a world built for speed and performance. We needed a holistic data strategy to streamline that information, enriching it with business context to help us elevate experiences across the ownership journey.
And we needed a partner to scale trusted data solutions across our business.
We use strategy as our foundation for data-driven growth, unifying our operations to drive innovation and sustain the Porsche spark at every client touchpoint.
Our universal semantic layer and the custom solution suite it fuels are both built in strategy, and they're essential for our ongoing growth. Our dynamic data solution built on our trusted data foundation help users easily understand whatever they need to enhance customer service on the fly.
Allows them to ask real-time questions of our trusted data with AI agents.
Every Porsche team member can trust our insights to make smarter decisions that deliver our premium, performance-focused promise.
Strategy helps our Porsche Center network perform more effectively. We're stocking parts and servicing vehicles faster. We're enhancing initiatives around operational excellence, and customer satisfaction scores keep rising.
Whether we're tracking down warranty details or managing part sales and maintenance plans, we have direct access to the insights our team needs at our fingertips.
When you have to come to the shop, we get you back on the road sooner.
We're enhancing every aspect of the Porsche experience, making ownership more fun.
Strategy brings data, analytics, and AI to life, fueling the spark behind the Porsche brand.
But strategy is more than just a powerful technology. They're a strategic partner who embodies the Porsche mindset and shares our focus on precision and user experience.
Our collaboration with the strategy team helps us innovate to make the most of our data, elevating the luxury experience at every corner of our network.
That's how we keep dreams on track. With luxury standards, one lap at a time. With our strategy partnership, we can't wait for the road ahead.
Yeah, I've owned a Porsche Cayenne, and I can testify the service experience, and I've had cars from pretty much most of their pure luxury car brands, was above and beyond what I would have expected, and that's powered by strategy software. And it's not just the people, it's the information, the data behind it. And of course, if any of you want the GTS out there, I'm sure they'd be happy to sell it to you. So what's next? The future is still unwritten. SaaS, BI, data warehousing, as we know it today, does need to die. AI is the answer, but it's missing governance, it's missing context, it's missing business personalization. It doesn't yet understand your business. Semantics and Mosaic will fill that gap. But it's not just a gap of knowledge and information, it's a gap that will make things faster, easier, and cheaper. And I feel like 30 years later in my career, we're close to that unimagined ideal of enterprise software, and I believe we're going to be a big part of that. And I hope that you all come along for the next 30-year journey, because I think we're going to innovate faster than anyone else in our space in enterprise software, just like we have capital markets and balance sheet management. We have a long time preference. This is not a 2-year objective. This is not a 5-year objective. This is the 30-year objective to bring you into the next phase of software. And your choice is a very simple one. What path do you take? The barren desert or the fruitful, beautiful land? And that path will be partnering with us. And now, with that, I want to hand it to our Chief Product Officer, Saurabh Abhyankar, who is going to share with you how this actually works, what the software is really doing today, and what it'll do going forward. So thank you all.
All right. So if it's not clear, we obviously believe that Mosaic and semantics are essential for AI to thrive in the enterprise. But you might want to ask yourself, like, why Mosaic? Why semantics? Why is that the thing? Of all the possible technologies that we could build or somebody else could build, why is that the thing that we believe so fundamentally in? And sometimes, to kind of figure that out, you got to go back to sort of first principles and look at what powers human progress and the big leaps that we make in society and in industry, right? And we looked at that, and one of the things that really came to my mind was that human progress and the story of human progress is actually a story of abstraction. And that's probably not a word that you expected me to say, but it's actually true. And the most obvious sort of example of that is language, right? If we go back 250,000 years, humans started off telling stories around a campfire. That's why we all love campfires. And then we evolved to writing things on walls, right, and communicating that way. From there, we went to things like hieroglyphics, right, and we were able to scale and produce even more. And then came the alphabet, right, and then mathematics and physics. And all of these things were an abstraction of the world around us. And they allowed us to communicate and put together very complex ideas and concepts. And for those of you in the room, most of you are software people, you're data people. And so the one that actually resonates the most with me is when I start thinking about abstraction in software engineering, okay? And so if you think about the history of software engineering, it actually started off with physical circuitry. Like in the very early days, to program a computer, you literally had to rewire the circuits, right? And then came the von Neumann architecture. And this was revolutionary because what it did is it separated the physical architecture from the programming. And finally, we were able to start programming computers and use them for different kinds of things. But it was still not that big a leap in productivity. It was maybe 10x or something like this. After that came assembly. And this brings back terrible memories, actually. Back in the 90s, when I was in my comp sci classes, and I had to write assembly to build our own little operating systems, I can tell you that it was not very productive, and I certainly wasn't very productive, but it was 50 times more productive than the early days, right? And of course, you guys know this story, right? We went from there to the high-level languages, right? C, then C++, object-oriented languages. Again, these were all big steps forward in productivity. And then more recently, you've got things like high-level scripting, right? Python, and lately, Gen AI. And so we've effectively been able to go from having to do physical circuitry to program something to now we just write in English or in Spanish or whatever language you want to choose, and the machine and the AI will automatically generate a lot of the code, 90% of the code, 99% of the code, eventually 100% of the code for you. And that is a massive improvement in productivity, right? 22,000x. So there's what, maybe 1,500 people in this room. Just think about how many rooms you have to fill, right, to get the same productivity that you can get now compared to 50, 60 years ago. So that's software engineering. But if you look at data engineering, the story is actually a little bit different. It started off with flat files, right, so fine. The big revolution, this was like the 70s or so, the big revolution was the relational revolution, right? Relational databases, SQL, and that was a huge bump forward in productivity. And I don't know if you know this, but there was actually a regression in the 2010s. Because in the big data era, in order to scale horizontally, right, we had to get all these people that were originally writing SQL, which is a fairly reasonably abstracted language, to go and do MapReduce and Java, and it actually became way less productive, which is kind of strange, right? But thank God, along comes Snowflake and Databricks and many of the other vendors that are the modern cloud lakehouses, and they actually did a level of abstraction that's interesting. It's abstraction sort of below, right? They abstracted away the compute from the storage. And that actually allowed us all to get a pretty nice bump in productivity over the last few years, which is why they've done so fantastically well. And so 600x sounds impressive, right? But if you compare it to software engineering, it's actually a pretty massive gap, right? The difference between productivity that we've seen in data engineering and software engineering is huge. And one of the big reasons for that is because abstraction in data engineering effectively stopped at SQL, right? We still today are doing relational databases, right? Even though you put everything into a data lake, you still build a relational model on top. Everyone's still writing SQL. We effectively did not evolve any layer of abstraction beyond that. And so there's this huge gap. And for those of you that have been in this business for 20, 30 years like me, this is why this chart explains why we all feel the pain that we feel every single day. Every time you need a new insight, every time you need a new report, every time you need a new analytic application, You can do this side real easy. The software engineering is actually not so hard. It's the data engineering that takes forever. And so, Phong talked about the importance of Mosaic and semantics, right? And we believe fundamentally that if we can evolve our world to a point where instead of having to do all the hardcore manual data engineering, right, building out all the tables and so forth, but instead working at the higher business abstraction, which is, of course, semantics and Mosaic, and automate the rest, right? Just like when you write in C++ or Java or Python or whatever, right, or Gen AI, the binary is automated, right? Except in data engineering, it almost feels like we're working at the binary level. And so if we can create that level of abstraction, suddenly we can unlock huge amounts of productivity, and we can unlock AI as well. And this is why we've effectively pivoted our entire product strategy towards Mosaic. And so if we think about the vision for Mosaic, and this is a slide that Phong essentially had, I just sort of put them together, this explains really what we're trying to do. And the real point here is at the heart of all this is that business layer in the middle. And we believe that if we can get that business layer to a point where it truly encodes your business, right, with advanced enough AI, everything above it can just sort of happen, and everything below it can just sort of happen, all right? And what we're going to show you today is the top part. As of today, you can actually already automate the top if you have a Mosaic semantic layer in place. What we don't have yet is the bottom, right? But that's just inevitable, right? There will be a time where if you can encode your business in a semantic layer or an ontology, everything else will just sort of work and happen with advanced enough AI. Now, of course, Mosaic, as you maybe know it today, fulfills part of this. Like I said, we can already do the top. But the question is, where are we going with Mosaic, and how do we do the rest? How do we get to our full vision? So I'd like to walk you through some of the key features that we've been working on lately and where we're going next. And I think if you combine all of these together, you end up with a place where you can really encode your business in our semantic layer. The natural place to start, actually, is why we call this thing Mosaic. We launched Mosaic a year ago, and the idea was that we can encode your business with these little sort of tiles, right? Attributes and metrics and dimensions and measures and hierarchies and all these kinds of things. And then we would be able to link those together into a fabric that spans your enterprise. Now, we couldn't link it last year, but the engineering teams were working real hard, and we just shipped what we call model linking. And what this allows you to do is take different models in different domains and link them together so that you can then do analysis or serve AI or whatever it is that you're trying to do across those domains. What does that mean? It means that you can finally link your business together, right? You can have a sales model, you can have a marketing model, and you can link them together. You can also link business and IT together, right? Maybe the finance team has created a model, but the support team wants to create their own model from their own data. Well, they can do that, obviously, if you give them the rights to do that. But then you can link that back into the financial model as well, right? And with those kinds of building blocks, we can actually take Mosaic and turn it into a fabric across the enterprise. Now, speaking of sort of linking domains together and linking geographies together, the other thing is we wanted to make sure that we could speak any language, okay? And if you think about how hard it was to translate semantics historically, it was a ton of work, right? You would write something in, let's say, English, and then you would extract all the strings, you would send it off to some expensive translator. The strings will eventually come back, and you merge it into your code, and then you finally got French, right? And we just wanted to make this all one click. So literally now, when you create a Mosaic model, you can just click a button and say, I want this thing in 5 different languages, and it'll just go ahead and translate everything, right? What does that mean? That means for any company that has people that speak different languages, for any company that's global, which obviously many of our customers, like Porsche, for example, is, you can go ahead and create one fabric across your enterprise, and it can speak all the different languages that you need to serve all your different regions and everyone around it. So that gives you personalization, but we wanted to go even deeper than that. And if you think about Mosaic, if you think about any semantic layer, it's not good enough for it just to be sort of the static set of definitions, right? There's a lot of volume of queries and information flowing through a semantic layer, something like Mosaic. And so we realized that it really needs to learn from all of that behavior, right? And it has to be fully personalized. And so what we're adding to Mosaic this year is what we call, obviously, learning and personalization. And it allows us to do a couple of things. One is all of the, I would say, usage information will also be stored as part of the overall Mosaic model. So you'll know which objects and which parts of the system are used more than others, okay? This is important because when AI now starts asking for things, it needs to kind of disambiguate between this definition of revenue and that definition of revenue. And really the best way to do that is, well, what's the definition that everybody uses, right? So injecting that usage information is extremely important. The second thing that we're doing is personalization, right? And there, we want to make sure that every person in the enterprise is also reflected as objects in the Mosaic model as well. And what that allows us to do is actually start creating profiles of people and their interests and what they care about, right? So knowing that, my CRO, when he says, I want revenue, is looking for perhaps bookings and ARR put together, right? I don't know. Whereas maybe when I ask for it or somebody else asks for it, maybe I just care about ARR. And learning that and understanding that for me, and understanding that also at a departmental level as well. And this one's really the key, right? Once you have this layer is no longer just a technology layer. It actually sort of comes alive, and it becomes more organic, and it begins to reflect your business in a more meaningful way than just definitions. Which is why the next point is really important, because once you get to this point, this now is kind of the heart and soul of your business, right? Like, you think about your brain. What is your brain? Your brain is a set of memories and experiences. That is who you are, right? And Mosaic, as it learns, as it has all of these concepts in it, ends up becoming effectively the brain of your business. And so you need that to be open. It should never be locked in with any one vendor. And it shouldn't be locked in with us either, right? And so we've always been a very open company. We obviously partner with a number of different hyperscalers. We run pretty much anywhere. We support pretty much any database. We support pretty much any ERP system. But more recently, we've joined the Open Semantic Interchange. And what that allows us to do is basically take our semantic layer and export it into a common format that other vendors also are conforming to. That gives you full freedom and flexibility. And it also opens the door for a few other things. Number one, it opens the door for some import, export, and synchronization between different semantic layers. Because just like you all have different databases, and many of you have different clouds, and you certainly have different enterprise applications, you're probably going to have multiple semantic layers too, right? I would love to say that you're going to have exactly one, and it will be Strategy Mosaic. But the reality will be that you'll acquire a company, or you'll have different engineers doing different things. They'll use different technologies. And so it's really important for us to be able to synchronize and sort of import-export between them. The second benefit of this ability to export to basically a YAML file is something that many of you have been asking for at least 10 years, maybe 20 years. It's been a while. And that's the ability to basically integrate the semantic layer into your CI/CD pipelines, into Git, and have versioning, right? So now, with our ability to export to YAML, we can actually store that in Git. You can version it, you can diff it, and you'll be able to then obviously import-export it as well. So a pretty huge improvement to our semantic layer. And really, it's about our promise of being open always. Now, Phong talked a lot about agents running around, not literally, I guess figuratively, your enterprise. And the question then becomes, well, how are you going to govern all of this, right? And when I talk to CIOs and CDOs, I always ask them, hey, listen, you've got all these data things, and you're going to put all these agents out there. How are you going to have a view of everything that's happening in your data landscape? Who's trying to protect you? And for that, we have Mosaic Sentinel. And what Sentinel is basically a single pane of glass that sits across your Mosaic landscape. And it can do everything from risk management. For example, we will actually do anomaly detection. We will do detection of anything that happens in the system that maybe shouldn't happen, right? We also do audit and compliance. So, for example, if you need a GDPR report or anything like this, we automatically generate those. We do performance optimization. So, for example, we can see queries that are performing poorly, and we can let you know that these queries are performing poorly, and then you can, of course, optimize that. And the final thing, and it's not really a compliance issue, but it's really a cost issue, is for you to be able to know and manage the cost of all the interactions that are happening in your system. Even already today, there's stories of agents that people have built that have gone rogue and have started accessing information that they shouldn't, and they're causing costs to get completely out of control. And what we basically can see is we can see the costs, and we can see the queries coming in and out, and we can then give you the ability to A, know that through Sentinel, and number two, because we have in-memory engines, you can actually offload some of that query volume into our engines as well. And that can be a huge saver in terms of cost, but it can also help you just really protect yourself and ensure that as you build agents and as you build swarms of agents, and as more and more people use data in ways that maybe you didn't expect, you have full visibility and control over all of it. The last major feature I want to talk about is perhaps the most important. If you think about really representing a business and being a digital twin of a business, a semantic layer as it stands today is actually not quite good enough, right? A semantic layer sort of originally was built for analytic purposes, and it's got attributes and metrics, and it's got hierarchies, and it's got governance, so it's got a lot of stuff, but there are a few things missing that we're adding. The first, and I'll try to explain these, the first is verbs, okay? So in a semantic layer, we've got product, and we've got customer, right? You know this. But we don't necessarily have the relationship that says a customer buys a product, right? Or a customer returns a product. And so being able to add these verbs into the semantic layer or ontology gives you the ability to actually tell us how these things work together. Another major area is rules, right? So back to our customer and product, well, you should have a rule that says a customer must buy a product before that customer can return the product, right? And so being able to encode rules into the semantic layer also helps really understand how the business runs. A couple other examples are things like subtypes, right? So we've got customer, but you might want premium customer. And a premium customer is a customer that maybe bought above a certain amount of money, that has certain characteristics, maybe they have premium support, whatever it might be, but you're able to actually define those subtypes. And the final couple are around workflows and descriptions, right? So, for example, you might have a store or a factory, right? That might be an object in our semantic layer today, but where does it say how that store operates or how that factory actually runs, right? How does the flow of materials go through a factory? How does a store actually operate? These are the kinds of things that we're also going to be adding to our semantic layer as well. And once you have those things, you really do have a true sort of digital twin of your business that can then serve a lot of different AI scenarios and downstream scenarios as well. But I think we're like an hour and a bit in, and you haven't seen any demos. And so what I'd like to do is actually show you some of this on stage. And for that, I'm going to invite Erica Moreno to join me here and do a few demos for you of Mosaic.
All right. Let's start with what shipped last month, model linking. I'm in Mosaic Studio with our customer success model open. The customer success team owns and maintains this. They are the experts on customer health and engagement. But I want to enhance it. Finance has a solid fiscal time model. Sales has all the reporting from Salesforce. I want to connect them. Search for time. Mosaic shows me all the relevant models. Here's the time dimension from finance. The details panel gives me everything I need to know. Here's the AI-generated executive summary. Business value, key components, usage, underlying structure. All the context I need to know that this is the right model. I can even explore the tables and the hierarchy that is built on that model to ensure that this is the right model. Now, let's find the sales model. We search for sales. Mosaic provides me a curated list. Notice it's already showing me all the potential links. It's analyzing how everything links together, even before I add them. Once that I add them, I click on Proceed, and I'm ready to go. Mosaic shows me all the suggested links for review. I can go one by one to see if this is the right link, or if I'm confident enough, I can just scroll over, and then with one click on Apply All, and that's it. 3 models from 3 different teams, linked, governed, and ready to use. That's model linking. Now that models are linked, I want to enhance it by creating new metrics. I want to know the active customers for the previous year. I don't even need to know how to build it. I ask the AI assistant to do it for me. Review the formula, check the definition, and once that I'm confident, I'm ready to go, I click on Create. That's it. One click. Model enhanced. That's AI-powered metric creation. Now, let's make this accessible globally. Mosaic can translate all your business terms and definitions into all your supported languages. One click, and I'm done. Your entire semantic layer, metrics, definitions, attributes, now accessible to your global teams in their native language. That's auto-translate. Now, I know that we have a lot of developers and architects that have been requesting version control and Git integration. I'm happy to announce that we're introducing that functionality into Mosaic. Right-click on a model, export to Git. Restoring it, just as easy, one click. And this is just the foundation. This same capability powers our integration with the Open Semantic Interchange Standard. Your semantic layers, everything connected, exportable into OSI YAML format, usable in any compliant tool. That's portability. Now, let's talk about the future. First up, data catalog. We have built all these models, but how do business users easily find them? This is where we're enhancing the exploring experience. Mosaic recognizes your role and context to give you recommendations customized for you. Want to know more? Click on a model. The basic information about the owner, the data steward, the quality score, the user rating. Maybe you want to ask a question to know more. You can do it right away. Now, if you want to go deeper and really see which objects are in the model, you can also do that. But maybe you're interested in looking at the lineage. You can also do that. Now, what happens if you want to check adoption of the model? You can go into the Usage tab, and then it will show you the views, the number of queries, and even the top users. Now, let's move into the collaboration. You can see what other users are saying about this model. But what if you're not certain of which model to use? Well, you can just ask Mosaic, and it will surface top picks and other relevant models that might serve for your question. This is intelligent discovery, context-aware recommendations. That's the data catalog vision. Now, enterprise governance needs visibility, control, and intelligence. For that, we're proud to introduce Mosaic Sentinel. Sentinel gives you 5 interconnected capabilities: risk management, audit and compliance, usage insights, performance optimization, and cost intelligence. Now, let me walk you through them. Risk management is real-time access monitoring across every application. Power BI, Tableau, Excel, AI agents, all flowing through Mosaic, all logged. But here's where it gets powerful: anomaly detection. Finance analysts, Saturday at midnight, exported 487,000 customer records. Sentinel knows her normal pattern: weekly access, averaging 50 records. This is way outside normal. Mosaic Sentinel gives you complete context: Who, what, when, where, how much. Flag it, log it, alert the security team. Audit and compliance. Full lineage, from business question through Mosaic through data source. Need a GDPR compliance report? Easy. You can just click on download and you will get it. Usage insights. Adoption patterns at a glance. Usage going up or down? Easy to see. Mosaic automatically detects outliers. You see a spike? Get the details. Which users or AI agents are driving it? Click on the agent if you want to know more. Performance optimization. Critical for keeping your users happy. See query details, performance metrics, the full query. But that's not all. Get more details on the executions and the query. Also, the Diagnosis and Fixes tab will give you full diagnosis into what changed, what might be the root cause. If you want to go deeper, you can review the execution plan and bottlenecks suggested by the tool. Mosaic also highlights recommended fixes. Cost intelligence follows the money. Data costs are exploding, but most organizations cannot answer why. They see the bill, but they don't see the waste. Sentinel finds the patterns. But here's what matters. Sentinel doesn't just flag the problem. It actually hands you the solution. Apply the fix, measure the impact, track the savings. 5 capabilities, 1 platform. Visibility, control, and intelligence for enterprise governance. That's Mosaic Sentinel. Everything you just saw, model linking, Sentinel, data catalog, that's the foundation. Now, let me show you where we're taking this platform next. Traditional semantic layers answer, what does this metric mean? We're building something more fundamental. A system that understands what the things in your business are, how they relate, and what rules govern them. That's ontologies. And here's what makes this powerful. Mosaic will build your ontology automatically. This is Mosaic ontology. The graph you're seeing, Mosaic generated this automatically. Mosaic analyzed 47 models, 12 data sources, 23 business entities discovered. Customer, order, account, contact, all from the data you're already using. All infer from how your teams actually work. Let me click on customer. This graph focuses on customer and everything directly connected. Here's what Mosaic learned. The definition automatically generated from your data. 12 properties discovered. 5 relationships identified. Customer places orders. Customer creates support tickets. Customer has subscriptions. All discovered. All confidence scored. Now, I'll add something that Mosaic didn't discover. Customer segmentation. I'll use natural language, create premium customer. Premium customer is a subtype of customer where at least 2 of 3 conditions are true. Mosaic creates the hierarchy. Premium customer inherits from customer, name, revenue, email, etc. All inherited. Then adds all those unique properties like CSM and support level, and it shows in the graph with the inheritance relationship. What if you already have the definitions in your catalog? Or maybe you even have a PDF file. You can upload it into the agent, and it translates it into entities for you. Enterprise customer inherits from premium customer, which inherits from customer. This is your business ontology. 23 entities discovered automatically, refined with natural language. Now, let me bring this together. You saw what's shipping: model linking, metric creation, auto-translation, Git integration, all functional. You saw where we're going. Sentinel's 5 capabilities working together. Governance, adoption, efficiency, and security interconnected. And AI-generated ontologies that understand your business, how they relate, what rules govern them. This is how organizations become more intelligent. Your teams define once and use everywhere, in any application or AI interface. That's the foundation for AI that actually works. That's Mosaic. Thank you. Back to you, Saurabh.
Killed it. All right. It was actually, I kind of got lost. I was watching her demo back there. All right, so you can see where we're going with Mosaic. I think you get the point that our goal here really is to build the absolute foundation of your business, a digital twin. And that really gives you the ability to then integrate with a number of other services, right? Mosaic eventually will not just be a digital twin, it'll have all your business entities. It'll know how the business operates, who does what, who cares about what. It will evolve through usage. It'll be entirely personalized, so everybody will have their own experience. And ultimately, and we call it the foundation, but really it ends up kind of being the brain of your enterprise. And as Phong pointed out, once you have that and you put AI around it, especially advanced AI, all of a sudden, if the AI can fully understand how your business operates, you can start to replicate people, processes, entire systems using Mosaic plus AI. But Mosaic all by itself is really still just a semantic layer and an ontology, right? You need these services to actually take action and do things in other systems. And this is where, again, our open strategy comes in, and the fact that we integrate and operate with some of the greatest companies in the world. And one of those we've been working with for about a decade, over a decade now. AWS was the first cloud provider that we started putting our platform on top of. They've been a partner for a very, very long time. And the important thing, I think, for you here is not only are we well integrated with AWS and partner very well with AWS, but AWS probably provides the broadest set of services and some of the most open services on the entire planet, right? You can use pretty much anything that you want on top of AWS. And so today, to tell you a little bit more about AWS and specifically its AI services and how some of those fit in with Mosaic and where we're going at Strategy, I'd like to welcome Chris McNabney on stage. Hey, Chris.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. So, Chris McNabney from AWS, and really glad to be here and really excited to see so many familiar faces. Interestingly, this is, I think, my 14th time at Strategy World, so really excited to be here with all of you today. And I'm also really excited to talk about some of the things that we're seeing and the changes that we've seen in the last couple of years now. It's been really incredible to be a part of it at AWS. We're really living in this brand new world with a new set of expectations today that were really unimaginable. We're seeing, at AWS, we're seeing now incidents that are responded to in seconds. Agents solving problems in minutes, not hours. We're seeing teams of engineers deliver applications in days that would have previously taken months. We're seeing problems that are triaged before anybody's even aware that they existed. And we're really seeing applications being developed that think and act and decide on our behalf, all powered by this new generation of agentic architectures. The need to turn your data into intelligence and action is greater than it ever has been before. So whether you quickly want to deploy your first set of agents, you want to boost productivity across your enterprise, or you want to deploy fleets of agents, managing every aspect of your business, AWS has the tools, the infrastructure, and the expertise to help make that happen for you. For the last 20 years, AWS has really been the foundation of the modern cloud enterprise, with storage and compute and database, helping handle things like resiliency, scalability, security, solving the most complex enterprise problems. You know, at AWS, storing over 100 trillion objects globally. Compute that services everything from the most nimble startups to the most complex enterprises. And over 200 services that help bring all of this together into the applications that you build and run and deploy today. But in today's age, that's not enough. So we are extending our portfolio into a new set of AI-driven services. Services like Amazon Bedrock, servicing industry-leading foundation models. Services like Bedrock Agent Core that allow you to get your agents in production quickly, solving really difficult problems like agent orchestration, agent identity, agent observability. Frontier agents that act autonomously within your enterprise to help find problems, deploy code fixes, monitor security. And agentic frameworks that accelerate the path to production for everything that you're doing. All of this is built on top of a robust AI infrastructure that includes things like AWS custom silicon with Trainium to help you with both inference and training of AI models. And more importantly, an AI-ready data foundation that helps you bring all of that information together. And it's designed to turn, again, those insights into actions for your business. But what are we hearing from all of our customers? Biggest thing is we're hearing, I want these things in production. I'm tired of building pilots that aren't returning value. I want agents, they have to be reliable, not expensive experiments. And I need it to work with the data I have today, and I need them to understand my business. A CFO wants planning done in minutes. Your supply chain team, what they want is events discovered before they happen. Sales wants intelligence to help close more deals. But if you're expecting an agent to make a multi-million-dollar decision, it has to be right. It has to be compliant. And it can't fail. It can't be wrong. So trust really comes from that proven background, our background in delivering the infrastructure that is powering your business today, the security, the governance, the scalability, the reliability. And AWS is here to help you move from concept to production in weeks or days. But we want to help you move fast. We want to innovate together. And we want to help keep you ahead of your competition. Now let's pivot a little bit. Just a powerful AI model and scalable AI infrastructure is really not enough. AI needs to understand you, it needs to understand your role, and it needs to understand your business. You've heard it. AI needs to understand, for me, what does revenue mean to me? When I say strategic customers, what do I mean? And that's where the partnership between AWS and Strategy comes in. With Mosaic, that integration can help provide that context. Agents can learn to speak the language of your business. You already have today lakes and warehouses. You have a data mesh maybe. You have your analytics, your analytic platforms. Hopefully they're all running on AWS. That's the foundation that you need to start from. But again, AI has to understand all the rules for accessing that information. It has to deliver insights that you can trust. And those insights have to scale out to every corner of your business. And the great news is that AWS has that data foundation for you. We have the AI platform for you. And with Strategy Mosaic, you can also bring the context to make all of this happen. So what does that future look like? Well, now wake up in the morning, we have a supply chain team. They show up to work. All of a sudden, potential disruption has been identified. Your suppliers have already been contacted. Orders have potentially already been rerouted. And what could have taken weeks and cost millions of dollars has been resolved before you finish your morning cup of coffee. Your CFO asks a question. What if I were to redeploy capital to help accelerate our market expansion plans? Instead of a team of analysts running off and getting an answer in weeks, agents are rebuilding our financial forecasts while we're sitting in the meeting, and the answer is ready before we even leave the room. In the afternoon, I'm prepping for a sales meeting, and agents are looking at my customer history. They're analyzing usage data. They're going out and looking at public records to figure out what information do I need to be successful when I work with this customer. And I'm presented with new opportunities by identifying patterns that we would have never been able to see that's going to go out me and have the most productive sales meeting I've ever had. The great news is you can do all of this today, and AWS is here to help. Lastly, I want to just talk about why we're here today. We are here because all of you are pushing us to innovate on your behalf. You're pushing against the capabilities that we bring to the table. You're asking us to help push the envelope of what's possible. And that's the most exciting part about my job every single day, is I get to work with all of you to try and push against what the art of the possible is, and then help deliver that for all of your organizations. So I think with the partnership between Strategy and AWS, we're going to work together to help show you all what's possible. Thank you all. And I'm going to turn it back over to Saurabh.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So our first half was sort of about foundations, right? Setting the foundation with Mosaic, and then using all the services and ecosystem around us to build the future, to build the things that you want in your organization. But ultimately, it's not really about foundations, is it? It's about serving the business, it's about serving the agents, and serving the front ends that actually interact with customers out there in the world. And so the question then becomes, well, what can we do on top of Mosaic? What are our big investments? And it kind of falls into two categories. The first, of course, is business intelligence. Now, let me address sort of the elephant in the room, right? So Phong got up here and he declared the death of BI. And I agree with him. I do believe that BI effectively is dying, and it will certainly be replaced by AI. But he said three other words that were maybe less memorable than the death of BI. The three other words were, the needs persist, right? The needs persist. People still need insights. Agents still need information. Data still has to flow from where it is to the humans and machines that need it. So the needs still persist. And as we go from the era of BI to the era of AI, we're going to have a transition period. We're going to have a transition period. It doesn't happen overnight. You all still have businesses to run. You still have reports running out there. You're trying to save money, right? Many of you have 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15, I've heard sometimes, different BI tools. And in order to fund AI, you have an opportunity to consolidate those down. Obviously, we think strategy is a good platform to do that. And so we want to make sure that you can actually still do that on our platform. And so we do continue to invest in BI. We've continued to invest in the application user experience, in the productivity app integrations. You'll see some of that a little bit later. The ability to do things like publish to Slack, publish to Teams, integrate with the ecosystem around us. We're also adding multi-tenancy this year, and that allows any of you that are running multiple strategy systems to come to the cloud and actually segment those systems into multiple, I would say, tenants, right, and manage those independently. Finally, I was going to put a fourth funeral up here. We have finally killed developer and replaced it with workstation, which I think is a pretty momentous moment for us after 10 years. And then we're going to take that and we're going to put it in the web. And so you're going to get Workstation Web. As you probably know, about a year and a half ago, we stopped shipping the Mac version of Workstation because of some of the changes in Apple Silicon. But the way to really solve that problem isn't to ship a desktop tool. The way to solve that problem is to take Workstation, make it available on the web, then you can use it from wherever you are, and your agents can also use it wherever they are, too. So we continue to invest in BI, and these are just some of the things that the team does. But the promise that we sort of make to you here is that our BI investments are, I would say, 99 to 100% driven by your needs, right? So oftentimes your ecosystem changes. You have a new database, you have a new cloud thing, you need to scale in a particular way. You're trying to do an application and you're missing a feature. You're trying to move from Cognos or Business Objects or Hyperion or whatever to us, and there's a few things that you need to make that as smooth as possible. These are the kinds of things we continue investing in so that you can come to our platform, feel secure on our platform, and know that it's there for the long term for you to build your business and for you to build AI as well. But there's no doubt that the future is AI. And that is the main thing, of course, that we're investing in on top of Mosaic. And when I say the future is AI, I specifically mean agentic AI. And it's one of these weird things to get up here and talk about nowadays because you kind of hear the words everywhere and you see it. And actually, a year ago, when we started talking about this, it felt like a little bit of lip service, like, okay, agents are going to take over the world. And I don't think anybody expected, I certainly didn't expect to see something like OpenClaw come out of nowhere and literally make it possible to replace entire teams of people with a Mac Mini, right? But that's where we are now. And so we've been investing heavily in integrating Mosaic and our AI technology into third parties via what's called MCP, Model Context Protocol, and then agent to agent, which is the Google version sort of MCP. And what that allows us to do is allow our agents to talk to all the other agents out there in the world. Chris actually just gave a bit of an example of the kind of workflows that people are looking at in the enterprise. And we're seeing a ton of these things. And so we've invested heavily there. We're going to show some demos in a few minutes. But the real message I have here is really one of openness, right? You can see up here that we've got Gemini Enterprise that we've integrated with, Claude, Anthropic. We're adding support for Sonnet 4.26, I believe. And it's a fully open strategy. And I just want to take a moment on this because there was an era where a CIO or a CFO could say, hey, we're going to go all in on this stack, right? We're going to go all in on, I don't know, Azure. We're going to go all in on Databricks. That's it. That's all we need, right? In fact, the saying goes back a few decades. There used to be a saying that said, you cannot get fired. Nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. You guys remember that saying from like 20, 30 years ago? You remember that, right? Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of people did get fired for staying with IBM. All right? And so the same is true today. All right? We're in this era now where people thought no one's going to get fired for choosing Azure. Right? Just go all in with Azure, smartest bet in the world, let's just do it. But look at what's happening around us. Look what Claude's doing. Look at what Gemini's doing. Right? Look what the next thing that we don't even know what it is doing. And so it's very clear that an all-in bet on one platform is not the way to go. You need to be able to put things together. You need to be able to experiment. You need to be able to take the best of what's happening out there. Otherwise, you will certainly fall behind. And so that's really our story of agents and agentic. But what's really cool is when you start to see these agents running on top of Mosaic. And for that, I'm going to invite Aiden up on stage. I sort of joke that you can't spell AI without Aiden, or you can't spell Aiden without AI. So Aiden, come on up. You did this, right?
Thanks, Saurabh. AI usage across the enterprise requires starting with the right foundation. Today, we're going to show you 3 ways Strategies AI empowers users across your entire enterprise, and why a governed semantic layer underneath makes all the difference between experimentation and actual production usage. Let's jump into it. Let's start with Gemini Enterprise, a single pane of glass to execute end-to-end workflows across multiple tools. Let's say I'm a product manager starting my day. What emails have come in overnight, and do any particularly need my attention? One catches my eye. A customer is having issues with the discoverability of our help content. Direct Gmail integration enhanced by Gemini Enterprise. I'm curious to see if other customers have encountered the same issue. Gemini can connect to my strategy agent that is connected to both my CRM and my ticketing system to see if any other customers have encountered similar issues. I see that 5 customers, including some of our largest, have reported similar things. Behind the scenes, this is using both A2A and MCP capabilities, so the experience in Gemini is seamless, regardless of what tools you're connecting to. So anyways, this seems like an issue we should probably fix. Without leaving Gemini, I'm able to create a Jira ticket for our next release, which automatically provides the context pulled from the strategy agent in that ticket that's provided to my developers. So now let's close the loop with the customer. Let's draft an email letting her know what we will add in product links in the next release. For brevity in this demo, I only created an email for the one particular customer, but in reality in Gemini, I could have just as easily drafted emails to all of those customers and had it sent. What about your users that live day in and day out in PowerPoint and Excel? AI is also revolutionizing how work is done in these tools. Let's see the power of strategy with our Excel and PowerPoint connectors, working with Claude directly within these tools. Let's start with the foundation. Governed data pulled from the Strategy Excel plugin that we're able to bring into our sheet. Now, let's see what Claude is able to do, given the right data and the right direction. Just like that, it goes to work. Claude is able to take governed data from strategy and create complex multi-sheet analysis, including visualizations and charts. Because you have trust in the source of the data, you can trust that Claude has the right data and context. This level of Excel manipulation previously would have taken hours, if not days, to complete. Now, what if I need to show that same information to a different audience in PowerPoint? Starting again with the foundation, single source of truth governed data from strategy, I'm able to have Claude create professional slides following my brand guidelines. My prompt here is very simple. Let's just generate a deck for a quarterly business review. But it's off to work. And just like that, I've created executive-ready slides. This still may need a little bit of human touch to prepare them to actually present to an executive board, but this has saved me hours of time. Because both tools use the governed data from strategy, you can ensure that the numbers that you present to your analysts in Excel and then the numbers that you're presenting to your executives or your board have zero discrepancy between them. Let's kick it up a notch. This is actually my most exciting demo to show. This last demo is going to show the power of Mosaic MCP in actual application development, which is not really an area that strategy has played before. The tool that I'm going to be showing is Codex by OpenAI, But this really could be any of the available tools like Claude Code, Google Anti-Gravity, any number of AI-assisted development tools. As many of you in the room know, following AI, there's been a huge shift in the capability and quality of these tools since late 2025. By connecting to Mosaic MCP, the AI-assisted tool is able to understand the semantics and the business definitions of my real data. I simply provide a requirements document, which I also generated by AI, and then in addition to the Mosaic MCP connection, it's off to work. Just this quickly, AI is able to create an inventory management application for my store managers. This, calling back to Phong's keynote, is the death of traditional software development. But in reality, my store managers work on iPads or iPhones. The application created works on any surface. These tools are getting better week over week, month over month. I cannot wait to see what I'm able to show you guys at the next Strategy World. This is the power of MCP and Mosaic. As these technologies continue to evolve, expect Strategy to be a leader in enabling you to fully embrace AI across your enterprise. Thank you.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
All right. You know, that symbol, by the way, is MCP. I'm not sure if Aiden told you. MCP plus Mosaic is a game changer. It was on, actually, December, I think it was December 12th. It was a Friday, December 12th, 2025. And that was the GA date for our support for MCP. And that whole week, I'm sending Roberto and Aiden messages like 5 times a day. Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Can I see it? Can I see it? And I wasn't exactly sure what I would see, but I knew there was something there. And then on December 12th, Aiden's like, yeah, just come down to my desk. I can show you something. It's not perfect yet, but I can kind of show you something. And so I go down there, and he shows me. It looked a lot like the Codex demo, but it was actually using Claude Code at the time. So it was Claude Code on top of Mosaic. And you got to remember, Mosaic is a semantic layer, right? It doesn't say anything about what things should look like, actually. But he just went in and he said, OK, I want an application that does whatever he said. And Claude Code just went and wrote a full-fledged analytic application. It was actually on airline data, and it compared weather and events, and it did all this stuff. It looked at internal stuff, it looked at external stuff. And it was that moment, it was the afternoon of December 12th, when I saw BI die. I was certain in that moment that all those years, 20 years of building BI tools, right, whether I was at Crystal or Business Objects or here at Strategy, all these billions of dollars of engineering that we had spent building reporting tools and dashboarding tools and visualization tools, and this thing, Claude Code, could just replicate it in an instant. And that was just the beginning, right? And so you saw that what we can do now with Codex. And these things are all, they're not even toddlers. They're like 1-year-olds, right? Wait till they become teenagers, right? Wait till they become adolescents. And so the future is kind of obvious in a sense that once you have a semantic layer and you pair it with AI, you can do really magical things. That was the closest thing for a BI person. That was the closest thing to magic. It just generated everything, right? And so, as I said before, it's important to be able to experiment and work with different partners, right? Because just in December, the best coding system was Claude Code. And then now we're showing you Codex. And next month, it might be something completely different. And so for any of you that are following kind of the history of AI and kind of where it's going, you might know that a lot of the innovation that you've seen here on the stage, that you've seen out there in the world, started its life at Google, right? It started with DeepMind and research in the Google labs, and then it worked its way out, and it spawned other companies, and it worked its way to OpenAI and other places as well. And we've actually been partnering with Google for the past few years, and we're really proud to be able to do that, because not only do they bring a ton of experience from a research perspective, but now with Gemini Enterprise, they've got some incredible talent out there working with different companies, some of the largest companies in the world, and they're really seeing what these companies are trying to do with AI. And so today, I'm really proud to introduce Jim Fairweather, who's the head of AI GTM at Google, to tell you a little bit about what he's seeing out there and the evolution that he's seen in these enterprises. Jim? Thanks, man.
is thrilled to be here with you all today. It's a good-looking crowd. We're still here? We're good? All right. Excellent. Well, look, from my seat, the people and the companies that are leading in this AI moment have three things in common. They're open, they're curious, and they're committed to learning. Easy to say, harder to do, as I'm sure all of you have experienced. This thing is moving at a pace that is absolutely unprecedented. And it's really hard to keep up. It is challenging. There is fear out there. But one thing that I think is really helpful is you got to remember, part of this and being in this moment, we need to have a little fun. This should be fun, right? And I think that that's one of the ways that we actually can learn and use AI the best is not when we're doing something with everything on the line, but when we're just playing with it. Show it to your kids, do pictures, whatever you got to do, but playing with this technology and actually being intentional about creating space to play with this technology will really, really help with your adoption. So, quick disclaimer. I have about 10 minutes or so till they give me the hook and Saurabh comes back on. And so what I'd like to do in that time is give you a couple just trends and insights from what I'm seeing. Kind of the past, the present, and the future. And what I would just ask and kind of challenge you to do for yourself as you sit and you listen to all these things is kind of think about, where are you in your AI journey? Where is your company? Where are your partners? Because this is a moment where it's important to look in the mirror. This is the bigger shift than we've ever seen, probably in our lifetimes, and it's really important to get started, and it won't always feel natural. There's a guy named Connor Grennan. If you haven't heard of him, I highly recommend you taking your phone out, following this guy on X or LinkedIn or whatever. He runs a company called the AI Mindset. He has kind of a neuro background, so he thinks about how do people absorb this new technology. And he has this analogy that he says AI is like a treadmill. You could give everyone in your company a treadmill. It doesn't mean they're going to get fit, right? Because how often do our treadmills look like this, right? And that's kind of how AI feels at first. It's going to be work. You have to get on that treadmill. It's going to be different. It might take you longer at first to do that thing. But I see kind of three phases of adoption when it comes to AI. First is you fall on your face. And look, this is to be celebrated, okay? This is a rite of passage. If you're not falling on your face, you're not doing it right. And you're not going hard enough, or you're not trying enough new things. Second is we kind of get the hang of it. We're saying, hey, this is kind of cool. Yeah, I was able to do a presentation faster. I was able to get research that would have taken me hours. And you start to get the hang and say, oh, maybe this does help my life. And lastly, where we're really focused on getting everybody, and I know where strategy is focused on getting everybody in this audience, is here. Where you are just loving life. Because something that AI is really good at, especially now and as you get going, is giving it your joyless and your friction work. I believe in my core that we're all put on this earth to do something unique, something special that is just us. And so give AI the rest of that stuff so you can spend more time on things that you are passionate about doing, that give you energy, that fill you up, that are uniquely you and able to work on. Thank you. There was another moment in time with another innovative company, Apple, 1980, a guy by the name of Mike Scott, not Michael Scott from The Office, but Mike Scott from Apple. And I kind of like Mike's style. He sends an internal memo out. You all better read this. And this is at the time that Apple was introducing the Apple II. But what they found is that they still had people who are using typewriters. Not okay by Mike, as he's got to get this new technology out to the market, but they got to start internally first. And so at the bottom it says, we believe the typewriter is obsolete. Let's prove it inside before we try and convince our customers. And that's a challenge I would put on all of us. As we think about adopting AI, I'm sure many companies are talking about how they use it and different things. Do it for your start with you first. And then make sure your company is living and moving into this era. Because AI is the new OS. And it's here to stay. And I think a really critical part and why I'm so excited to be on this stage at this conference today is because the context is so, so critical. We launched a product. We saw this kind of coming, and we launched a product last year. It's called Gemini Enterprise. And we believe it's the new front door to AI in the workplace. It's been the fastest growing product we've ever had at Google Cloud. We've sold 8 million seats of it to 2,800 companies, and it's only been generally available for 4 months. We're seeing that signal, and the adoption is here. And the reason it's been so successful is because it gets personal. And you've heard a lot about this today. It knows the people, it knows your workflows, and it has the context. And this is kind of where we see our partner ecosystem growing and being really important to having this platform take off, is when we have partners like Strategy who are building incredible platforms like Mosaic that can integrate together, providing you with an outstanding experience for your everyday work. And so I thought what Phong said was really insightful. And obviously he's got a great view of everything going on in the software world. There is this new definition of strength. I think before in enterprise software, it was the moat was, incumbency, code, complexity. That is gone now. So again, we all need to look in the mirror and say, what's our moat? And so we believe the new moat will be distribution, data, and most importantly, trust. Those things go together. And so instead of software as a service, we're now seeing service as software. Selling tools, going from selling tools to selling outcomes. And you're going to see this in a bunch of different ways and how people monetize this. But we do see SaaS without agents that are going to really, really suffer. But the agents within SaaS are going to win. And I think this is really good news. Because I think when you pull out your phone and you experience AI on your mobile device, it's such a great experience. No matter who you're using. We'd love you to use Gemini, but whoever. And it has just raised the bar because when I go to work, I don't want to go back in time. I want to use the tools of today. And I think about, for all you leaders out there, when you think about attracting, retaining the top talent, they want to use the best tools. And that's why it's really important to look at where you are and where you are on this adoption journey, and also who your partners are. You got a good one in Strategy, I know that. So I see companies in 3 different phases here. First is the ostrich. Head in the sand, la 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 la, pretending this isn't happening. These are names you know. I have this fortunate privilege to be talking to software companies and technology companies across the entire, where are we? Country? Yeah. Across the entire country. And there are names you know that have their head in the sand right now. And that there's going to be a reckoning of that this year. I think we've seen it in the market a little bit. I think there's probably an overcorrection there maybe. But it's coming now. Second is the ones who are missing the bus. But at least they're aware and they're trying to chase it. And so if you're in that category, either personally or your company, I would really, really encourage you to run fast. Do not miss this bus. And the time is right now. Because it's not slowing down. In the last category, these are like kind of the paranoid survive folks. It's funny when I talk to Saurabh, we talk about you most often as our clients, and how do we make sure we up-level the experience that we provide our clients. They're the ones asking, am I running fast enough? And these are the folks that are setting the pace and leading the way into what this new world of work and life is going to be with AI. And so lastly, I would just say, companies that master this agentic AI execution will define their industries tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Great job, man. You know, when we were coming up with the name for this keynote and this conference, we thought pretty hard about it, obviously. And it was very purposeful that we called the keynote Freedom to Innovate. Because we're now in this world that is kind of topsy-turvy, right? Everything is changing, everything is evolving, and it's very clear that the people that experiment, the people that have freedom, the people that can try different things, are the ones that are going to win. And so hopefully, like, we really tried to impart that belief in you here today. And the other thing that we fundamentally believe from a technology perspective is that if you can describe how a business runs in the semantics, and then put advanced AI alongside that, you can automate enormous parts of your business. And so when Phong said that data warehousing is going to die, you all probably were like, no, come on, man. Like, that's not, how's that going to happen? Like, these are multi-billion-dollar industries. But it's inevitable, isn't it? Like, it's inevitable that once you can describe how your business runs, that the materialization of data and how it's stored and how it's queried, obviously, you're not going to do that manually anymore. It's inevitable. Is it going to happen in 2 months? Probably not. Is it going to happen in 6 months? Some of it. Is it going to happen within 5 years? I'm pretty certain, right? But then on top, you know, Phong talked about the death of BI. Well, that we're already starting to see. We're already starting to see what can happen when you take Codex or Claude Code and you put it on top of a semantic layer. It can build reports. It can build entire analytic applications. Aiden only had a few minutes up here, and of course we fast-forwarded everything to, you know, be able to show you what comes out of the code builder. But if you sat there with Codex or with Claude Code for a few hours, the kinds of things you can build are absolutely amazing. It just blows you away. And again, it's a toddler, right? And so we fundamentally believe that. And so what does that mean for investments? Like today, we're spending so much time and energy on data warehousing and on BI. And what I would say is flip it around. Put the energy into defining the ontology, defining the semantics. Assume that the AI is going to evolve, because it will. And know that if you're able to actually do that, we can actually get to a world where everything above, all the insights, become automated, everything below becomes automated, and we can finally get to that ideal where you just want something, you ask for it, maybe you don't even have to ask for it, and you get it. So with that, I welcome you to Strategy World 2026. The name of the conference is Freedom by Design, because we want to give you the freedom to design the future with us. Thank you.